So
Yeah.
there's really, really good body of research about how when you go into nature, it activates the whole brain, not just the anxiety brain. And you start to like go into a creative space just because you're in your natural environment.
Yeah.
Like children, they did not evolve to sit in rows of at desks
Yeah.
learning abstract concepts. Humans operate best outside using all five senses
Mm.
together and playing and solving problems that have an immediate impact on our well-being. Like hundreds of thousands of years of evolution made us this way. And now our lives look nothing like that. And it's making us crazy scared.
So are you saying, Martha, that when you get back to your quote natural state, right? When you are in your calm state, when you are in flow, when you're doing, when you're in nature, when you're tapping into all your senses, when you are most like who you were made to be, that that is the place to find your purpose? Because in the beginning of the
Well,
book,
that's
you say, get ready. If you really want to do this, get ready for changing your life up,
right.
changing up the way you think, changing up the way you see the world. You're going to
Yeah.
change it up if you really want to get beyond anxiety.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you repeated the purpose thing because I left that unanswered. When you get to that place where you feel connected to everything, and when you're doing things that you love with people you love, there's a place, a theologian named Frederick Buechner says, your mission in life is where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. So
Wow.
you're doing something that is blissful for you, and it connects you with other beings in a way that is extremely positive for them. And it's in the connection between their deep hunger for what you have to offer, like the way you put out the Sunday paper. People, I read the comments, people are like waiting for it so they can feel
Yeah.
better about the world. And that's their deep hunger. And I know you spent years like figuring out exactly what you would do that would be your deep gladness. And
Yeah.
that sense of doing something blissful for somebody who wants it, another being, it could be for the planet, but it's someone's deep hunger and it's your deep gladness. And that is your sense of purpose. It's like,
I
this is
love
why I'm
that.
alive.
What is the deep hunger you feel that you are providing? What is your gladness versus the hunger that is out there?
I think I spent a lot of years, decades actually, not particularly pleased to be human on this planet. I was just like, okay, suffering is inevitable. We're all going to die. I had not ever been free from anxiety or uh, experienced very much happiness.
Yeah.
So I was like constantly looking for a reason to stay alive, like a good reason to hang in there. And then I came out of that and started to experience the real love, real joy. And I thought, okay, this is it. I don't want anyone ever to feel the way I felt for all those years.
Mm.
My entire life had been spent finding a way to happiness. And now, by God, I was going to force it on everyone I know as as you have experienced.
Which I love, right? I mean, and because you've also, which I think is so interesting for people to hear, that you've come up against these titles, really, that society, life coach, right?
Oh yeah.
That you're like, I'm not that. You've kind of struggled with the kind of box that society wants to put you in. And you've tried a guide, right? Wayfarers, all of these pathfinders, all of these versions of being a guide for other people's gladness, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Although you're right, I've never been able to settle on a word. And
Yeah.
writing this book showed me why, because we do language almost entirely with the left hemisphere, not completely, but almost entirely. And what the things that finally made me happy, that finally gave me a sense of purpose, do not lend themselves to language. They're inexpressible. They're states of, I mean, there is language for them, states of awe, states of joy, a
Mm.
sense of deep meaning and purpose.
Love.
Love, yeah.
Yeah. Connection.
But those words, it's like taking a butterfly and nailing it to a piece of wood and saying, yeah, this is the joy of a butterfly. And it has to be in flight. Like it's not pin downable. The way
Mm.
we can be happy is literally to get away from language. So there's no way to give it language.
Yeah.
If you'll do the things that activate the creative parts of your brain, you'll find yourself there. And you'll be in stillness. And also you can be in profoundly intense activity, but there's a stillness at the center of it that is your true home. And at that point, you can't express it, and only having the feeling will allow other people to do it when I start thinking about it,
Yeah.
because there's no way to communicate it except to help other people try to experience it.
So I think one of the things that's also people would like to know is that you've started to develop a community, right? That's how
Oh,
you've
yeah.
described it to me, right? That
Yep.
you wanted to start this community because, the way you were describing it originally hundreds of years ago is that we would have been in community. We would have
Yes.
been living next door to each other. We would have been waking up in the morning. We would have been sharing stories.
Yeah.
We would have been there to help one another. And so you've taken not just this book and the community that's online and the podcast that you do, but you're trying to build community because
Yeah.
that is also a part of getting beyond anxiety,
Yeah.
correct? So
Yeah. And
talk about that a little bit.
well, our society is incredibly individualistic, and it separates
Yes.
us from each other. I mean, to get out, to get up, leave your family, go out of your house and spend the whole day with people you don't know, trying to produce, wealth, that is bizarre. Hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Nobody did that except us. So here we are, and we're slogging along, and we're doing these things that isolate us, and we compete against each other. We have to compete against each other at school and at work and everything. And so I'd always done self-help. And I realized, okay, I feel less anxious. I am definitely self-helped here, but it's making me want to create community. And that has been very different. I've always, me, I was always running away to the woods, right?
Right. And walking by yourself and getting lost in the woods and wandering in the woods and then coming back to share that story. But still, right, you were more of a loner.
Very, very much. And then suddenly it was like, oh, in this brain state, I actually like people. So with my partner, Ro, we created this online community called Wilder, because that's the idea, is a place to go. And it's ironic because we're using, cutting edge technology. But the idea is a way to create the village again, because
Yeah.
none of us lives in a village with just a few hundred people, where everybody's name and you're there just to hang out. The weird thing was we created it just as a place to hang out, and then everybody started doing arts like music, drawing, and it was completely spontaneous. We didn't mean that to happen. But every culture on earth, you get villages of people or even small bands of people, and what do? Do they spend all their time competing? No, they do a few hours of work every day to provide for their well-being,
Mm.
and then they make art all over the world, all over history.